So what we're going to do with the Bilberries Blue Youth Stewardship Program is like this. We're going to start structuring it. In the first part of it, right, it was more like everyone getting to know everyone. Whoever is in the program is stabilized already. We're not onboarding anymore, right? So all those teams, and they have their respective team leaders. And in fact, this is a youth stewardship program. So every person is a youth steward, right? So we have to look at the whole entirety of it. And then we have to decide amongst all of us, there's so many of us now, isn't it amazing? Maybe 50, 48, 50, right? We have to kind of structure, okay, which are the teams. So by the country first, within the country, by the different groups, Kim Leia is one, children's home garden home and school is another, Singapore, maybe there's one or two. And Ben is here. I'm not sure if he's listening in. Ben, are you listening in? Hello. Yeah, Ben. Yeah, so Ben, this is where you can help start structure. So Hong Kai is in Singapore, and now he is actively in two projects, right? So that's why once the project is on fire, we can't even have this kind of webinars. The Malaysian group has basically said to me that they're having a lot of academic challenges and universities and all that. So I have to go and listen to what is going on. But we have to kind of find a way of communication. We have cohort 1, cohort 2, maybe combine the two cohorts together, Maybe it's time we do that, and then kind of streamline who is the country and the team, different teams, so that you can represent each other, right? So who's present, who's not present. I think all some of this discipline has to be there. We will start regularizing it. And then we have our projects, right? And then we have your personal Atelier projects as well. So we have to kind of make it very, very clear. And I don't know how you'll get the journey going. Just use Excel, Do it simply so that you can organize. I think we're all learning how to organize as a group. So I think now there's 24 in Africa. There is 12 in Malaysia. That's 36. You see, I need my calculator. There's 36. Singapore, we actually have the interns as well, huh, Ben? We were supposed to kind of loop them in, but let's keep them as interns. But as youth stewards, that's really only 4 of you, right? Ben, Hong Kai, I think there was a Justin, but I don't think he could join the program. So it's you, Hong Kai, Tasha, and Alan, right? As youth stewards. Yeah, so Singapore is 4. Ben, I would like you to watch the interns group as well, who they are, their sense of belonging, because that channel is still there and the program basically continues one, And then Hong Kong is watching the ambassadors, because there is an adolescent stewards that we are also basically grooming, right? Or nurturing, and Snyder is and Victor and Isaac are also having the ambassadors, right? The Bilberries Blue Lighthouse ambassadors, and then we're actually going to have the children 0 to 12, right? 0 to 12. They're not ambassadors, but they're children's gardens school, right? The school, yeah. If some of them want to be interns, we have that interns program as well. For it's not like ambassadors, or they can be ambassadors. Okay, so some of these are the decision, but you can see there's the youth stewards, there is the ambassadors. The ambassadors are really for like adolescents. The internship was created because several of the adolescents actually at that time, when they were preparing for their own vision of their future, they had contacted me and say, do you have internship? You know, so we actually can also offer that as Bilberries Blue, because our summer school, right, is really about that, birth to lifelong, right? And what is the formation? What is the I'm gonna have to turn off my WhatsApp for now. Okay. Okay. So like what is the formation, what is the curriculum they need to learn, what is the life skills they need to learn, what is the sustainable entrepreneurism, the work skills that they need to learn. A lot of the experience and comments and feedback that are coming from our projects, Bilberries Blue Lighthouse or with schools and all that, is really asking this question. And you guys are asking this question, right? What comes after school? You know, what comes after school, the skills you learn, it's not, you learn it there, you learn it foundationally, you know, right from the start. And the more you understand what being in society and economy entails, the more you're ready for life. And the readiness for life is like that. And I open with this story about my own mentors having to mentor me, right? Now, if I stop this weekend, right, my growth has stopped, correct? Even though I have to consider my health, but I still have to learn how to do it because my mentors are like 13 years ahead, right? And they must have in their 50s or so hit some block. But look, they continue on, right? So lifelong learning is essentially that. So that's what Bilberries Blue Summer School is about. The summer school is just for us to come together, but it's meant to address this, and that's the curriculum. Does that help clarify it? What our actually this program is about? So the youth stewards must learn to organize and structure ourselves very well, not in the rigidity, but through good organizing principles, you know, and discipline and communication, and then communicate. So while all of us have all the intent, right, we can't get ourselves together and we're not communicating. You know, while there's the technology is there, while people have offered pro bono services for us, they're going to offer, you know, they've offered the mobile SIM card, yet it's still not in Africa. So something is really not working for us, right? Still, but I'm sure we will get there, you know? The good news is there's so many people wanting to help. Since even last month, I have 3 business leaders wanting to help already. But it's bunch up at me. Then they come at me, I say, I don't even, it's not like I don't have calendar time. my my energy time. You know, oh, you said I have a lot of energy. I think it's kind of hit something, okay? It's hit my physical limit. I was talking to my daughter and she was very clear. She said, Mom, it's not even whether you have the mental strength or whether you have the emotional strength or what, you're so strong. It's completely physiological. It's like your body cannot take any more of to drive it, you know. So I guess for me, I am just honest, and the lesson I took for myself is I'm human and I have a limit, and this is like the furthest I can go as a human. And it's not like I need to go and go yoga, I need to go and do exercise. I'm a person of such discipline. I run, I exercise. This is actually my own physical limit. You know, and the reality is as I grow older, it's probably even, you know, maybe my wisdom maybe get better. I don't really think so. I think my wisdom hasn't really changed since I was young. I think it's just the physicality and how you operationalize it. So many people gave me advice They love, 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 love what we're going to do. Okay, our vision, everything is good. Okay. Now it's about operationalizing it, making it very real, step by step. You see, Paul is not here today, right? And that's why I said to them, right? To him, right? You have all these, right? And Victor, I've always said this to you, have all these, right? How do you make it real? Okay. On Snyder's side, you're making it already. Okay. Honkai too.
Yeah.
But if you really want it very, very real, it's got to even be even more dedicated. Now, Honkai is running everywhere in town today. So he's living it already. But he's flapping up and down, flapping up and down. Yeah. So, all right. So you guys are here. Do you have any responses to what I've just said?
Okay, for me, I see it's a good plan. And yeah, we are also behind you. And we are here to support. Okay, not to support, but we are with you.
With us. All the
Okay,
way, right?
yeah.
Because it's beyond us. It's beyond even the youth stewardship program. If all of us succeed, can you imagine just children's garden home and school, 200 children will succeed. Paul's dream of eradicating street children in Nairobi will succeed. It's like that. Life is like that. You say, I'm going to do it, it will, right? Hongkai's dream of living full inclusion will succeed. It's like when Keith was born, that morning I tell myself, yeah, no big deal. Let's just do it, right? It's just that my dream is just really huge. And it's gotten to here. And that's all I can bring it, you know. This is the furthest I can bring it. But on this Saturday, that is the reality that I'm facing. This is the furthest I can bring it since I was 10 years old, 42 years old. This is the furthest I can. And when I was told to shut off everything, I just bawled my eyes out. Yeah, I said, how could it be that in 42 years, right? This was the work that I was doing, and it hits to a level where my own physical, my body cannot take it. I cannot even do like a bit more, you know, that day. So I think it's something all of us have to think about. How do we structure it such that it can just continue? Everything is there, right? If we manage to get somebody to sponsor a team in a company in Berlin, they're assessing us to sponsor us pretty much for life, you know, the content, and they will teach us how to do it, and we can put all our curriculum on it and school on it. But I can't be the one to drive it anymore. It's so clear. I will have to like divide it to different portfolios for different people, you know. Yeah. And I can't even be like the one watching it all because it just got too big. It just got like too big. So I myself have to find a different way. Yeah, I can't. Because I've been doing it. I'm still just now, that's why I was late 42 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Because everything that could go wrong went wrong. It's still going wrong. But if I just continue like this, my heart will just pop, you know, like literally. So at least for me, I look after my health first, which I always say to everybody, right? Number one is oxygen on yourself first, right? So I'm living that responsibly. So um, what do we do? Yeah, so like you say, everyone told me the same thing, you know. I thought, oh, I lost my graphic designer because that day I was so angry, right? So intense, so harsh, right? If I use the right word. Yeah. And everybody got so scared, you know. Then after that, they got to know me, like you all got to know me like last week. And then after that, they're like, we're behind you, Ping. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're behind me, but I can't even give directions. It's like 10 different things happening at the same time. And then I said to my bosses, I said, maybe you replace me. And they're like, no, you can't. We're in it because you're here. You replace you is different already. Right? So then somebody said, okay, you're the constant. So I'm the constant, right? But you know what we have to ask ourselves, right? Why is it I'm the constant? How come I should be able to be replaced? At some stage, it cannot be one person dependent. The vision, the journey. What is it that will hold us all so that we complete this dream? 2030, no one left behind. In the projects that we have selected, okay? We're not saving the whole world, you know. We are very, very clear, right? Bilberries Blue is very, very simple in its goal, you know, if you think about it. And One Love and Charcoal. So there are three entities, right? Providing these opportunities for everyone, right? And the formation, Happy Heart School, right? Bilberries Blue Lighthouse now. And then there is then the summer school. There is the editorial board. All these things are real now, you know. We've initiated these projects, right? And you know why we are different? We know each other's names, you know. When I go to bed, when I look at this project, I see all your faces and I see all your names and I know your lives, you know. When you say uniqueness, we're not even saying uniqueness, we're saying that person itself, himself or herself. It's not even a concept. That's why I think it's different. And then I asked Naida has said you send me the list of the children's names, right?
Yeah.
That's all we are, okay? Because if you're committed to look after this, you don't need to look after the whole world. We can't. That's like talking, oh, look after DO, look after, you know, it's conceptual, it's not even real. But for us, it's just us, and we already dedicated. This is the people. These are the people. And we cannot even take more. We cannot take more. We cannot do more until we serve this list, you know. And then the first part was we came into each other's lives in 2021, right?
Yeah.
And we got to know each other. Yeah. And then he said, we'll just support each other. Every month we meet, right? And then we grow and grow and grow. Yeah. But it cannot just be kumbaya, right? That you didn't meet Saif, right? He was designing the principles of it, you know. So Ben, you're sitting in listening, right? Now Ben has this gift of listening and then writing it, right, Ben? Yeah. And poor Ben was tortured to read the book that I'd written. It's gone very far away from that book since already, right, Ben? You turn on your voice, Ben. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Bilberries Blue journey has grown, has evolved since even the first time we met, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about how you've observed it?
How have I observed it? I guess the best way I can describe it is that it was a bunch of ideas, disparate a bit. Slowly, it just kind of fell into place. The more we just kind of wrote about it, talked about it, it's started to come together. And I haven't seen the latest version yet, but I suppose it's even more structured than before. It's like, yeah.
Mm. So Ben, You're right, Ben. You're the chronicler. You were, so say for the interns, we were formatting the interns, right? With the micro summit. But you weren't at the micro summit. No, you came joined in a bit later.
Yeah.
The micro summit group were a younger group. They were 15, 16 then. And they co-hosted the micro summit with us. So every one of the events or projects that we host, right? We co-host with youth or children, the One Love boxes and all that. It was done with a younger group, the interns group. Yeah, I'm going to meet some of them this week, and I'm going to ask them how do they feel about this Bilberries Blue Journey. So we actually have this young group, okay, and there's one group I haven't circled back, which is really the Happy Heart School, and we ran a butterfly camp in 2012 under One Love. So they are still waiting for the dream of this school, right? But they're outgrowing even a school age already, because it's been 10 years. So Ellen and Tasha are actually from that butterfly camp, 2012. They're now around 22 years old. So it's been 10 years. 10 years. The Happy Heart School was really co-founded with Keith. He's 15. He's still waiting for me. I haven't even had time to bring him to the zoo now that the pandemic is a bit eased up in Singapore. But what I used to do with him was have this model of going to different places and learning, whether it's work, whether it's social, whether it's for going to the zoo, So the summer school was meant to have this, what we call this pattern language, this pattern. And I find it really succeeded with him. He's very confident on the bus. You don't need to have this training program anymore, right? So when you're young, you go everywhere. You don't need a curriculum, right, Snyder? You don't need an academic curriculum. So that was the intention of this summer school, where all of us figure our way to Cambridge University first. We can go other places after that, This week, I have 4 colleagues from Malaysia coming in. Borders in between Malaysia and Singapore just opened, right? And I find I have to tell them, have you got this? Have you got this? Have you got this? Have you got this? And I ask myself, why is it that I still have to do that? By 20-something years old, or by 20 years old, or by actually a very young age, 18, right? If you're in school, if you're able-bodied, you should be able to do it, right? So the challenge is when we travel, and it should be done in a very organized manner, not chaotically. Last minute, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I left somebody behind, I didn't check this vaccine status, So this run up to this 2023 in our summer school, right? Now is what? Now is April. We have to get serious about it, otherwise we're not going to go there. Right? Otherwise we'll end up just talking about it. So Ben, it's beyond the talking and discussion. The talking and discussion, I think we did a lot of it, and I think it's good. It clarifies. And this content that we've all chosen to record together and share, right, is basically like the content curriculum, right? The curriculum. Because we say our pedagogy is we're learning everything live and sharing it, right? And then you'll be able to structure the narrative. The editorial board is meant to kind of be that, We are not into like all those research journal publications. We're into like taking taking the learnings and the lessons live from each other and each other's voices, and then essentially publishing that, right? In a structured way, you know. Then what do you think? What do you think so far that you see what Bilberries Blue is? So now I have really mapped so many cohorts of people, of individuals, including then the stewards as well, right? Everybody is everywhere. How do we bring the unity through our narrative? I think in our structuring, I think every one of us can do it, right? That one is not a problem because you organize things, maybe putting into Excel, communicating, those are technical things. But let's spend like the next 5-10 minutes, right? With Ben. Ben, you lead this, right? Let's try and see how we can get an articulation and a structure. And I'm not writing anything down since this is recorded and we can review it. This is to try and get an architecture, you know, of the pattern language, or you know, they have many structures of narratives, right? Narrative styles, you know. Then we had a tree. That's kind of like a more metaphor, right? But I'm more talking about, is it a rondo? Is it, you know, a form? What form is it that will be able to unify the Bilberries Blue, One Love, Charcoal narrative, you know? What is it that people won't get lost? So that the architecture of our editorial is that it's not a page, it's not a book. Because a page is just content, right? It has to have some kind of 3D visualization. So if we can see it, we can write it down, then I can share it with this company called Contentful that is assessing whether they're going to offer us their pro bono services. They're going to give us 50, if it goes through, 50 accounts, you know. And essentially we can pop everything there and publish it, and we can even create our own content apps. But without a structure, it's just videos again, images again, you know. It can even amount to noise, and it can even amount to people just talking, you know. We already have a deep conversation with each other already. We don't need the talking, right? The publishing of it, right, must serve a purpose of something, you know. Like if I'm already connected to every one of you, right, or we're connected to each other, right, we don't need anything. We're already happy, right, Isaac? Correct? Once you're connected, you don't need all these. But then we need to do it. There must be a purpose for that. Is it just sharing our stories? Is it fundraising? Not really. We're sustainable entrepreneurs. We don't need to go and do charitable fundraising. You know, there's no beneficiary donor relationship anywhere. Actually, I cut it all off. They wanted to do it. I'm like, hello, snip, sorry. This is not what love is about. Okay. Yeah. It was deliberately designed as a structure where there's a private limited company, right? Bilberries Blue. All our work, our ideas, our IP, we acknowledge that. Then we freed it, right? So it's pretty much open source. Like this is, we have some articulation, you know, we instantly freed it because we wanted to share it. One Love is, it's not for profit. It's very clear what the constitution is. And then there is Charcoal. There is also a private limited company because we need to learn how to make our own livelihoods, right? Charcoal has a Shopify gift shop, you know, so far. And then yeah, Charcoal Cottage Studios. I haven't even shared that with all of you. But these three entities should be able to get us through and serve others as well. Now, I keep having this narrative of a corporate person, right? And then SIVE has this narrative of the PPP, international relations, governance. He comes from public sector, you know. But for us to really have a very fresh narrative, right, it must come from something very different. It's not even education anymore, Snyder, right? Remember? We've had several sessions on that already, right? And even the training, which is very valuable, right, that you had. But the kids are telling us they don't want to be identified as special needs. And there's no necessity for that because we are identified by each of our names.
Mm.
Correct?
Yeah.
And now we say it's ambassadors. Everything is forgotten. All those profiling is done. Okay. The 5 ambassadors in our Bilberries Blue Lighthouse Singapore is really working and they really rock. Okay, guys. You should meet them. Oh my goodness. You know, super. We have I have their podcast and everything. I just haven't had time to go and and they're going to really curate a friendship festival. They want to rock the entire school, right? Which is 780 students. Okay, they can't wait. The principal is behind them. They want to put a sign next to their school sign, you know, and they're pioneers, you know. So I was selling their principles, and then the tertiary education. And we're not interested in advocacy, not interested at all. We're just interested to build the pathways for every single pioneer. Okay, because if the pathway isn't there, don't go blaming anybody. If others don't know, they can't do it, we have to find our own way to do it. Okay, so that's the kind of like the spirit of this for us, you know. So Ben is very calm. I love talking to Ben. He's so calm. Ben, is there a structure? What is the best way to organize so that somebody can so that people can just see, it's actually a flower, it's actually a Ben Ohan Pamuk, right? My name is Red. It had to be explained, right? The structure of that novel, it's so different from what we know, you know, the way we think, right? You write from left to right is very different. But you write from top down, left to right is very different. From right to left to left to right, right? So if Bilberries Blue, right, when they land onto this space, right? Say if you're hosted in Contentful, right? They must not be lost, you know. And even if we go to run our summer school, people must not be lost. Our architecture of our pedagogy must be clear. So Snyder, it's the organizing committee of the summer school, primarily the educators. So they're saying from root to the branches, to the trunk, to the branches, to the fruits, you know, that's kind of one way. The children below 12 find it a bit easier to understand that. But I think we're much more complex than that. When we go into the building the ESG economy, the thinking, right? Imagine if you're running a summer school, it's not a holiday camp. When you go to run a summer school, right? It's bringing everyone together. There must be a very, very good thinking in the meta thinking, you know, the thinking about thinking. This is what Washima always says, right? That's why Bilberries Blue, right? It has basically ESG economy knowledge development, you know. The way we process what sustainability is kind of right there. Everyone is processing ESG, and then after that they have checklists, but not that. You can't ESG, suddenly you become a coloring book of a tree. So when somebody asks me to go and write children's books, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to write fairy tales anymore. And I don't want to make coloring books. Because I believe that children are so much smarter than that. Don't need you tell you make coloring books. They can make so many things. I work with children. I work with infants. They're so smart. I can't wait to start working with the children's garden home. Washima has spent devoted her entire life on this, challenging the pedagogy of pedagogy, essentially, right? So you got to go to the root of it, right? So in light of all this, right, we have a place where we're challenging the challenge, we have a place where we have to make our living, we have a place where we have to do our operational work, we have a place where we have to do just our daily living with our friends, family, and our relationships and all that. Some people very interested in this journey. Some people absolutely like, I don't understand this journey. I don't really want to care about it. Some people are like, Mom, I just want you. I don't really want any of this. A spouse that says to me, I don't understand all this. I just want you to be alive, right? But that journey needs to be documented. It needs to have a structure. If it has a structure, right, the generative code, that then it's so simple that it's independent of personalities. I think that's the fun of it, that it can still evolve, but people know where to go into it, where they're inputting in it, and how it's evolving. Ben, what do you see? Tell me. Okay, each of you, tell me what comes to you when I say that. So it's architecture, and then after that it's engineering, okay? And you can do it on this platform called Contentful. That's my gut. And it can be operationalized through some of these free platforms, business-wise. And I believe quite a few of them have visionary business leaders. They will actually become our partners. We don't become their beneficiaries, we become actually their partners. And they choose to give us pro bono services, or they use, and until we make money, they can basically have a partnership that, that has very low fees or something. So that's how I envisage that we would be able to have our technological capabilities. People capabilities, we all have, right? Everyone's helping themselves and the community, or everyone's growing themselves and their community. Ben, what do you see? How would you explain this? So forget, right, everything that I've written. I've taken it as far as I can. Y'all can pretty much delete everything that I've done, because that was just necessary to take us all here. But from this point onwards, delete it all. It's got to come from, it's got to bloom something already. Yeah, it's not those other things. Ben, help. What do you see?
I guess if we don't want to get people lost in the first place, I guess it has to be sort of a guided approach, like a step-by-step kind of thing. Can't be just one lump sum of info. It has to be little tidbits here and there, like.
So you have a landing page. You have a landing page.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your structure of that landing page? What would you have there?
What would I have there? Basic. Just a few basic options, like if people want a general history, people want just one who is behind this. Those are a few. Then from there it branches out to like people can make their choices on. Like after like clicking like history, then there'll be a few branches. They'll branch out. So it's like select your own journey kind of a thing. Like you can forging your own journey about learning about what you want about. Okay, it's a bit hard to verbalize.
No, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay, but it would just be, I feel like just words aren't enough. Maybe you can include some recordings also, some visuals at the same time, aside complement. I think it's basically multimedia. Kind of multimedia. Yeah.
You said branches, so it's important to curate those branches, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't you all love Ben? His brain is like. Where are you now, Ben? Where's your brain? We can't find you.
Yeah. No, I just need to think a lot more about this.
Okay.
This.
Okay.
Because in a way, it's like, okay, like, you know how when you come across something unfamiliar, like a certain term, you go online, you search, then it always links back to some source, and then the source has a source, and it kind of like recedes into itself. It's like there's this endless thing where people quote one another, it just keeps on
Oh,
going
it's
back.
going
There's no,
downwards. It's nesting downwards. It's not expanding upwards because it's searching. Learning is searching, right?
yeah,
You're actually going to the source of the source, right?
yeah, the source of the source of the source.
The
Like sometimes
source,
it goes
the source, is it source? Is it small or is it big?
it can be both. Like,
Does the source have many, many things? Are we architecturing the sequence of the sources?
that's the big issue because I don't.
It's
On
not
one hand,
linear.
it's
It's
good.
not linear, right? It's
Yeah, it's
it's
not linear.
non
That's the thing.
it's non-linear.
Yeah,
Okay, guys, this is key.
it's
We
not.
can have a linear, but essentially it's non-linear.
Mhm.
Non-linearity in mathematics is very, very difficult, you know. But it can still be modeled. So we're talking about allowing people to access content, right?
Yes.
To drive their own self-learning, right?
Yes.
Isn't that
Essentially, yeah.
Wikipedia? No.
Not exactly. Not exactly. Wikipedia is a lot more heavy. No, that's not the word.
Informative, right?
Yeah.
This one
Yeah.
has to be a structure such that it can guide you, right? So
Yes.
supposing you
Yes.
say somebody, okay, Sulaiman, now you're going to the summer school. Okay, suddenly
Mhm.
Sulaiman gets cut off from people, don't know where everything. Sulaiman must still be able to get onto the platform, right? And and find himself there, you know? As an example, that's mobility. No, if you have a child who is visually impaired, it still needs to work. I mean, that's the grand vision of it at the end of the day, right? But if then our architecture is targeted to that child specifically, even better, that child won't be lost. Be able to figure it out, be able to grow, won't feel overwhelmed because that library is actually for that child. So imagine if you've got your ambassadors Each one has their own personal library. The little child that's behind Sulaiman, right? If that little child has his or her own personal library, how would that look like?
Mm,
In a way, we're kind of architecturing our brains, or our brains is architecturing this learning architecture. Okay, so Ben, you're getting a headache already. We go onto the landing page, then you have the general history, right? So you say history. That's interesting for me. Okay, so you curate the branches because it tells you where you come from. And then the history branches, right? You root it down to the source. Okay. Then you said the who. What do you think the who needs to be? Who's behind it, right? You said who's
Yeah.
behind it. This gives the security, right?
Yeah.
You can never hide behind a mask, right?
Mhm.
That's why we are completely open. Very dangerous if you tell the kids to just believe something on the internet. All the misinformation is there. So, and very dangerous when you tell somebody, oh yeah, you can say something and be anonymous. There's no accountability. We don't want that. We don't want to raise our children that way either. Okay. Yep. See, what's driving us is us, right? Snyder, do you see it now?
Yeah.
We're setting it. We're the ones who say yes or no. Every time I say something, you shake your head or you nod your head, right? What is acceptable, what's not acceptable? Victor, correct? You don't go into drugs. You don't go into the violence. Non-negotiable, right? We live for service. No need anything else. They say, are you religious? I say, we don't need that. It's just this, right?
Yeah.
Non-political, non-religious, we serve each other. Who's behind it? The children must know it's us. Okay? Any instructions that come on this, they must know it's from us. Inconsistent things, it has to go. It has to be added. You know what I mean? It has to have a way. Like you go to Wikipedia is closely very monitored, isn't it, Benjamin? By a group of stewards, actually, and given so much misinformation, right? The editorial board must be watchful, and it's like it's not like, oh, anything that comes through you just forward. Post box, right? The editorial board serves a purpose, this discussion regarding that, just like when you design a summer school, right? It's not just a couple of reference materials that you ask somebody to go and read up. It's not information. It's not even literacy or numeracy and all that. It's not. Yeah, it's so bad. It looks like it's just two things: general history, curated, who's behind it. What else do we need? The rest is classrooms. No? What else? Sorry, I should not be inputting. What should be the third one? Is there a third, or is there a need for that?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely going to be more, I guess. But I guess sifting it out is good. Yes. Principles. What guides us? No.
You have values, but you need principles. You need guidelines, right? Values are just values. Some principles guide. So this whole thing is about guiding, right? You say it's guiding so that you don't get lost, because otherwise it's too much. Even with very good intentions, people can get lost and they get overwhelmed, or they get left behind, or they get isolated, right? That's what I've been hearing from what their feedback is, right, Victor, Isaac? you know. Sometimes they fall behind because of illness, sometimes they fall behind of circumstance or anything. We will always find ourselves one day falling. No doubt about that, right? But then some people will stay around to help you up, but at the end of the day, you have to help yourself up. There was no way that any doctor could have taken down my blood pressure that day. You know? I had to take it down myself because I was like at a panicked emergency level. So the doctor said to me, stop your brain, you know? So then I realized, wow, even to save your own life, I'm the only one who can do it. And each of us are the only one who can save our own lives in that sense. At the end of the day, at the end of it all, at the root of it all. So Ben, we got to root it all the way down, right? Yeah. So if it's a personal journey, right? It's your own eye, you know. And then and we're not here to tell you what our own eye is. I mean, there's so many guidance around it. Right? Who am I? Right? It comes down to that identity. See how powerful Bernie's wisdom is. So Ben, where we have all these formation principles and all that, we put it there, like Bernie's formation principles, maybe my lecture notes, maybe whatever everyone's written, we put it there as guidance, you think? Or is that still too much?
For now, that it's okay.
Hmm?
But guidance.
You said principles.
Yeah.
It has to be rewritten, right? It cannot be like just a reference, right?
No.
We have to synthesize it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So it looks like a page, but because of the hyperlinks,
Yeah.
it becomes an architecture. Can you all see it? It looks like a page, but the links that you put in, the hyperlinks that you put in, has an architecture in it. And the architecture is this, right? What Ben is proposing. Can you all visualize what Ben is saying? Ben, you need to draw out the map and explain it. Okay. Yeah. And we have to figure a way how to share it. You can pop it into the group editorial board and just let people mull over it. And then every single one of our work should be going onto our Google Drive, you know, the different folders and all that. You know, you can just create a Google Drive and start tracking it. Because I think this is the beginning of the group editorial board, the Bilberries Blue Youth group editorial board, right? I don't think it needs to have the word youth in it. It's just our editorial board, the infrastructure of it. Then the content has a context. It has a context and it has an architecture. And then the content has the engineering as well. You see? And we don't even need to mess around with what other people think, you know? Right? That means if I publish something, right, I don't need to think, I say, oh, am I influencing you? Am I not influencing you? You know, because we're about learning, we're about authentic learning of the individual's growth and journey, you know, and how do we facilitate that? Do you see how this thing is so beautifully designed and curated? So unless you have a heart that is really wanting to serve that, right, in content and media, there's always a temptation to try and influence people, you know. We're not into that. We're just saying, here is our lessons. This is where this is our evolution, right? The general history, right? And this is us. We're very transparent. Okay, don't promise this and that and that and that. These are our core principles. So if you participate in this, you're part of this, we all came up with these principles together. We are in agreement anyway, right? Anything else we need, Ben? I'm just going to scribble notes and a diagram. Then I'm just going to post it on the chat group. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just put it under editorial. I think we have a structure already. Okay, Ben, you're going to guide this. Okay, I'm going to put Ben Low here. Okay. You just have to map it out for us, Ben. And you think a little bit more about it and you write it, okay? Write what it is that you're thinking of and what you're seeing, you know. It's just a structure. You don't need to tell anybody who to put the branches or whatever. The rest, we will decide what are the branches and you will guide us to simplify, right? What are the branches that we need? And basically, you've been observing, right? We've been observing this whole journey and we don't have enough information. Do the research work and do the journalism to go in dialogue with all the other different groups, whether they are stewards, whether we are what. You just have to say, oh, Pengen, this information is missing. I think we haven't dialogued enough with this group to really understand. For example, Kim Leah, you know, why couldn't they attend the meetings? Or Malaysia, today no representative from Philippines, you know. When people are not present, you don't assume they don't want to come. When the intent has been expressed so clearly, right, throughout, that this is important to them, so then we must find out what happened, okay, or what is the barrier. So when we keep removing barriers, connections keep being built, okay. Because if you're not connected, I will become out of touch of your life. If I become out of touch of your life, I won't know. But if I'm in touch with your life, just simple every month, right? I know. I look at Anthony, I know where he is. Is he in a good state? Is he in a troubled state or not? You know? I look at Isaac, I know at Snyder, you know. I look at Ben, I know. You know, it's that kind of thing, right? The connection is very important. So it's not turning up for a webinar or anything, yeah. And the work gives us the context, right? It builds the solidarity, right? Yeah, so my two mentors told me, they don't need to tell me because over the weekend I figured it out. I'll be like lost if I have no work. No, I'll be completely depressed. I was completely like, life is so meaning. I'll be so heartbroken. I'll be like, what's the point of it all? You know? Then I'm like, okay, I have to find a way to live, to survive this and do it differently. Okay. And then I got myself out. Yeah. So it's so so it also meaning, right? Our whole experience is about meaning, right? This youth stewardship program as well. We point to Viktor Frankl, right? It's about meaning. So that's what I found out this weekend. What the meaning of my life is. And I can't bluff myself anymore, you know. I can't say it's just a project. I can't say, you know, this is not, I can put, you know, it's not, it's already interwoven in me because it's interwoven in my heart. It's what my life is. Right? So that's me, right? So I'm very, very clear. So then now we come here again. Bilberries blue, right? One love, charcoal. I got all these entities that have written all these websites. I've even created a website for One Love Nairobi a long time ago, you know. So Ben, we have all these existing content pages, right? It's just a matter of pulling it together. It doesn't all have to have the same narrative, right? So this used to it shape this editorial board, and then we are also doing the summer school, you know. And I think if we are now going to use the Contentful platform, the tools may be different, maybe bigger, may have more extensibility, may have more possibilities, you know, compared to the old website, compared to the old books does not have hyperlink, ebooks have hyperlink, you know. Then you have Facebook like this, you have WhatsApp like that, right? So it's understanding all these different media tools, right? Information tools, communication tools. How do we use them, right? And where is the landing page? And then what is that one point of landing page? One Love, Bilberries Blue, charcoal. Charcoal is a gift shop. That's for sustainable commerce, right? Bilberries Blue is the knowledge center. When you have like the summer school, that's why it's the name is Bilberries Blue Summer School. It has that curriculum. One Love is very, very clearly the not-for-profit. All the people development program, right, is under One Love. Everything that you saw in the Bilberries Blue Lighthouse is already all donated there. Okay. What do you think is like the unity of it?
The unity.
When people land, right? So you say you have to explain what is this work that we do. There are three entities now, you know. Do we put all three entities and just have like one? Okay, this is your landing card, and the landing card has like three entities. Is that confusing? It is confusing. Right? Then the other problem was, I said, oh, it's Bilberries Blue. Then they started to doubt. Then they say, is it not for profit or for profit? I said, we needed the for profit to make sure that we don't become a dependent beneficiary, you know. We're not a charitable organization in the sense, but we're not for profit. Not for profit can have profit center. So I guess it's an identity question, right, Ben? Huh? The identity of this the organization, right? The identity of us. So there's the identity of each of us, right? We should be very, very clear. It's by name. Nobody is scripting anybody. Nobody is, conditioning anybody, right? So then the identity of the organization, right? Or the identity of us, I don't know what it is. Anyone can jump in at any point now to talk about this. It's identity, because if you don't have an identity, we can't cohere. Sulaiman, anything coming to you? They're kind of frozen already. You know, Ben, because it evolved through all these organizations. That's why it's arrived at this. But now it's like the identity is basically the flower, right? Because it was an evolutionary journey, Snyder. That's why Ben was saying, it has a whole history of it. So when they land, the context is the flower, actually, right?
Yeah.
Huh? It's Bilberries blue, right? Bilberries blue, I tell you what it is. Snyder. Red.
Pardon?
Bilberries blue, the name, the origin of it. I didn't know what to do to rename my consulting practice. And I knew it's that journey has ended. That was in 2015. Then I founded One Love in 2014. Okay. I didn't know what to do with the business elements. And then came up with this that is actually for economic development, right? But it's actually ESG economic development now, right? So it's meant to be like a development of nations, a model that is so simple that it can be global. Okay, it's meant to be for that, right? Even the articulation we didn't know. So 2016 consistently started to reboot it, but before I could get it going, I had to have a name. The name came from me being in the art studio day in, day out, day in, day out. Okay, in 2014, 2015, while doing a lot of stuff. And everything had dissolved by then. All my client contacts, my business, I dissolved the old. Okay. But I did not have a name and I couldn't start. I didn't have a name. So then I remembered a book that my friend had given to me when I was leaving Boston. It was about Thoreau. Okay. And he talked about the Bilberries swamp. And I asked my team at that time, can we call it Bilberries swamp? They said no. So it became Bilberries blue. Essentially what Thoreau said is, you wander into the woods, right? He's always wandered into the woods. But even when you're in the woods, in the forest, right? You have to wander off the beaten path, because after a while, the forest also becomes familiar to you. They say when you wander off that path, you will chance upon a bilberry swamp. And it would astonish you because you've not seen anything like this before, because it's not engineered. It's like, I've never seen a bilberry swamp. But I just read about it, right? But in this discussion, I imagine it, right? That it has so much biodiversity. It's so different, it's so beautiful. So it's like somebody lands on Bilberries blue, right? And they'll be like that. My gosh, what is this? So that's the origin of Bilberries blue. And anything before that was slowly being dissolved. Then it took COVID, right? And they had time to write that book, right? And then everyone asked me to write it down, right? So I written it all down, and all that was frozen in 2020, right? I said, shh, we just release it all, right? Whether it was the lecture notes, whether it's all the stuff. And then after I tested it, and then nobody understood it. Because it's my personal vision, my personal library. And it's okay, I can stand there and I can explain it to somebody, but nobody else can use it. And I think I understood now, everybody must have your own, right? I think, I don't know. But anyway, so that, and then 2021, we started this, and I think it's correct. Now it's 2022, right? And then when I met Ben, I said to him also, he was an intern, right? I said, I don't really know what it means. I said, would you want to be an intern? Then he said, yeah, I want. Then he turned up in the BB studio, right? Hong Kong, I said, you want to do BB like how? He said, yeah, I want. He turned up. So and then we started evolving, and then now we're here. And then Snyder said, yeah, we're behind you. We're never gonna let it go, right? So if you ask me where the landing place is, it's this, yeah, it's this. Can you see it? It's the flower, right? And it's not finished yet, because I'm looking. Okay, other thing that went through my head on Saturday was, I haven't finished this journey. Wait, I haven't even looked at the forest yet. I haven't looked at. I'm like looking at this. What about energy? What about, like, so many things we haven't done yet? Or we haven't discovered, because is this vision, the bilberries blue, the swamp, the mystery, the unknown, the naturalness of the life, the discovery. It's kind of discovery. And so I think, Ben, I asked and answered my own question. I think it's bilberries blue. We point everyone to bilberries blue, and we explain it. We explain why we have a not-for-profit, why we have a for-profit, why we have a private limited company that has so much about knowledge development and sustainable development. It's sustainable development. It's what the United Nations Environment Program people do. Snyder, maybe I see you in Geneva, Snyder. I kind of like really feel like after the summer school, the next journey is really like that. And I think for you, it's really also to focus back onto the root, right? The Nairobi, the children, because you understand it best, right? So I think that's the authenticity of each of our journey, right? And Ben is still really kind of saying, I'm really discovering my journey, right? But you see, you turn up and you see how your contribution is, how significant it is. Yeah. Maybe it's just like this watering hole. We don't need to define it. Right? I don't know. But people will be lost. I've tried that where you don't need to define it. Explain it. Ben, simple explanation. Simple explanation why we have this structure, for profit, for not for profit. Look, I've already written the whole paper on this, right? The popples and all that. They can't be. They're like, oh, it's too esoteric. It's too. I'm like, no, it looks very coherent. But maybe it needs to even be more simplified. So it's like, who's behind it? The principles, a simple explanation of our structure, right? And then what is it that we want to? What are the projects? What is it that we want to accomplish? Right? And what's the timeline? What are the resources we need? Is that it? But sounds very operational. What do you think, Ben? Snyder, what do you think? What do you see, Snyder? Now that you've listened to what Ben has said.
Okay, because we have a structure, it will be easier for us to operate. And once we delegate duties to each and every member, yeah, we will accomplish a lot.
Yeah. Why don't we give ourselves structure now, huh?
Yeah.
What is this structure? The tree? Is it a tree or flower?
The tree first.
Huh?
I think we have the tree first, then we get the flower.
Mm.
You know, when I was thinking about this and I was building a lot of sculptures, maybe I need to go back to my studio. Maybe I will have to go back to my studio time, my own personal atelier. I need to finish that, Ben. But then it's independent from this Bilberries Blue, One Love, charcoal, right? Because that structure must come from the whole team. So I will go finish I will tell you what my structure is now that I'm talking about it. It's very interesting. Do you want to hear it or you want to be surprised by it?
We hear it.
You hear it?
Yeah.
It's a girl in the flower garden. It's really quite funny. And I have roses everywhere. And the structure that I keep building, right, is the structure of a rose. It comes from a center and you just put every petal around it, and it's clay, it's 3D. However you do it, it becomes a rose. It becomes a flower. However you do it. Then I tried doing all the trees, it doesn't work. Even when I make my vases, whether I hand build it, I don't throw anything, I build it. Because I was trying to examine what would be a stable 3D structure, right? It became a rose. Conceptually, Ben, the thing that helps me do the music and the words one is Paul Clay's work, It's classical music in visual. That's my personal language. So I have the rose for my 3D, the forms. No matter what I do, it becomes a rose. So then now that I'm talking about Bilberries Blue and Thoreau, right? I'm seeing myself in the swamp. And basically, it has all these beautiful, different things. And then I'm just in awe and wonder. And then I'm happy again. So I was like, where's your happy place, right? So they told me to freeze my brain, and all that doesn't work. So I'm like the role, right? I go into this and then I see this swamp. And so say today is 2022. 2015, no idea of that it would be called Bilberries Blue, right? 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's 7 years, went by in the dark. Or not in the dark, in this. Ben, you had to read all those stuff, right? And you had to listen to, and you trusted me and your journey, and the kids journeyed with me, right? And then I had to we had to weave in the not-for-profit, we have to weave in the special needs and all that, right? I started this journey in 2000. So it's 22 years, Naida. 22 years. And I think for me, it's the song. It's a pond. It's a pond. The pond is called Walden Pond. It's off Boston. Okay. It's a pond in the forest with all the woods. Okay. And it's the most unexpected because we allow it. It's beauty. It's beauty. It's always a rose, and it's always a rose garden. So Ben, that is my own personal unity of this whole thing. Does that make sense? Should I bring that in as a starting point? Huh?
Yeah, that
Huh?
fits.
Yeah.
If you can, yeah.
Then at least the structure can begin, right, Saida?
Yeah.
If I don't make a say, if I don't cohere, if I don't share this, it has no context, I think that's what's happening, because I'm unwilling to share it because I didn't want it to tighten somebody's mind or frame it. But I think if I don't, we are not cohering, and the work can't get going. At least if it's like this, it's laid out like this, right? Like a rose, right? Or different areas. It will be structured, and we can do the work. It can be effective. Huh? Yeah. So it doesn't have to be these 12 petals like this anymore. It's there. It can be there, but I think maybe I will make a picture or something. Or I will write something as an introduction, right? And then Ben, you can write basically the general history, the who, how. Do you feel better now? Is it better? That means what has happened is people have taken off the beaten path. They've wandered in their forest, okay, in the wilderness. They took a sudden path and they find us. And then when they find us, we don't instruct. We're not giving answers. We just say, hey, and then they will be re-energized, right? Because there's so many more possibilities that they can go and self-discover, and you won't be lost, right? And you can go to the root of yourself. You can go to the lateral. You can find anybody anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
I feel good about that. Then it's completely also independent from me having to be operational and watching over every work stream and all that, right?
Yeah.
Then we just let it evolve, right? Because the projects will have its governance, will have its timeline, but the evolution of this can have a life of its own. You know, when you have living things, right? Bilberries, blue swan, they're weeds, they're what, they're all labels, right? But actually it's all part of nature, right? The young and the old, the intergenerational and all. And in that way, we don't really have to keep labeling it anymore, right, Ben? It gets so tiresome, right? You say you're young, you're old, you're this, you're that, you know. We can just state down all the general history, who's behind it, principles, and then we just have a simple explanation, draw the picture of the thing. I explain the Bilberries blue swarm thing. I write something with Ben. Ben writes it. Ben edits it for me to make it simple, and then we have all our projects there. Then we show our deliverables of our project. The project basically grows everybody, right? And like Snyder said, it has a purpose. It has an outcome, you know, and that's what Ben you said as well. That's why you're contributing, right? There's a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And you said you are contributing because you want to help me clarify what Bilberries blue is, right? I think it's Bilberries blue then. I think the core of it's one love, right? I mean, it's love.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be so tight. It's just really there. Because if I call it one love, right, it immediately makes us into a charitable organization. I prefer it at thinking, you know, at knowledge. Bilberries blue. If you emphasize all the business elements, it becomes business centric again. Bilberries blue is just blue, you know, it's like chill. Huh? And then it has all these colors. So we're actually rebooting Bilberries blue again. You like that?
Yeah.
Dissolve everything, reboot it again. Simplify it, yeah. No need to talk about the past. No need to look in the rear view mirror anymore. Yeah. You know, you guys have removed my stress. I don't know why I got so stressed. I guess didn't want the journey to end, right? And I don't know how to like put all the good work to be shared, and everyone and crediting everybody's work. To date, Ben, I haven't even had time to thank everybody on the journey. It's so invisible. It doesn't do justice to the people who have contributed. When we do this general history and who's behind it, I think I will feel so much better that the people who have been on this journey have been acknowledged. I think for me that's important. Yeah. Okay, for 11, the guys are calling me. You guys waited 42 minutes for me. They have waited an hour for me. I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes late for them. They're panicking, but I think it's good they're growing, right? We cannot call it panic anymore. So everybody is growing, and the way we're going to do is we go with root principles so that people know how to make their own decisions. It's not dependent on myself alone, or even as we become leaders and stewards, right? It's not dependent on like one person. So it's a flower. It's a swamp. It's not a flower, Ben. It's a swamp. It's not even a garden.
A swamp.
It's the rose swamp. It's the secret to the rose swamp. Snyder, are you getting this, Snyder?
Yeah.
It's not a bouquet of flowers. It's not even one rose. Because it needs to have the biodiversity of nature. It's gonna be really humble, just like humble. Make it really humble, Ben. Just like nature. I'm feeling the peace, you're feeling the peace. What are you feeling? I know Ben is feeling the peace already, right, Ben? Ben, you got it? You got it? Simple, humble. It's just a pond. It's just a pond in the forest. But what made the encounter between that human and the pond? That human is me lah. Reading Thoreau. Thoreau was the first to encounter it, and then he wrote it in a book, right? And then I read it and I got inspired. It helped me frame, and then I say, okay, now. So it's an encounter with the pond doesn't know that it's the pond doesn't say, oh, I'm fantastic, I'm like mystery, I'm like, oh, the pond is just a pond, But why did that forest come about with that pond, right? How are we going to like go and find out, go and calculate the sequence of when the flowers were flowering, where the seeds were? It's not one tree either, many trees and whole ecosystem, right? Snyder, what's coming to you? It's true. Ben, what's coming to you?
Just trying to comprehend everything, I guess. It's quite, yeah.
A simple page. A very simple page, huh? With just those boxes, and then they go, huh? No flower, no picture, no nothing. Huh? Huh? Then they go, and then we populate. Simple, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Simple.
Simple.
Website link, www.bilberriesblue.com. Then they start their journey, right? There's another thought is we can call it tube, the economics of universal well-being, because it's meant to be a platform, and we can call that, and we put it in on Contentful, TEUWB. Then even Bilberries Blue is dissolved. The identity becomes tube. It's a tube platform. You prefer that? I think so, because Bilberries Blue is tied to the past. Right?
Yeah.
That's why we keep getting stuck, right? Because Bilberries Blue you need to then explain one love, and you need to explain charcoal, and then it's already one of the elements in the flower. So tube lah, the economics of universal well-being.
Okay.
TEUWB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tube is born today. That's it. And we ask the Contentful guys what it. I'll just put it on Contentful. They sponsor it as a not-for-profit. It will be forever be a not-for-profit. We ring fence it.
Okay.
Because if they sponsor it, it has to be a not-for-profit, and they've never really revoked a plan. They can't, right? Because if you use it as a platform, as more and more members come on it, right, it become very expensive, and there is, if you dedicate it completely to not-for-profit, right, then it's there for service. Then all these other entities are still kind of there, but it's out of it now. It's not, the identity is not linked to a private limited or anything. And even Bilberries Blue and charcoal, right? We can rewrite the constitution to make sure it's not for profit. So that it's very clear. All three companies are not for profit. Then they go as a set. I can get the lawyers to do that. Yeah. You see, I'm recording this and I'm going to release it.
Okay.
You shall be my witness. The rest have dropped off. I'll take a picture of you. So Ben, you hold this piece, okay? You read everything anyway. Smile. Wait. I'm very happy now.
Okay.
I'm very happy. Okay. It works for me. Works for you?
Yeah.
You just help me write that one page after today, right? Call it tube. Okay. TEUWB. General history, who's behind it? Principles. What else do you need? You just go and frame. Okay. I don't think people can go beyond 4. Is it going to be boxes or circles? Doesn't matter. Okay. But not too many things. Distill it. So when you land on it, that's all you see. And then you begin your journey. Okay. And then all the other website can stand. They don't need to be redone again. Nothing. Okay. The editorial board, their voices, whatever, can all be nested in the projects and everything. Okay. But for Tube as its landing place and the content, right? It's just this simplicity and humility, and always one page with boxes with words. I don't even want pictures. Because the pictures help people with the visualization. This one is like that. That means it's like pure humility, silence. Okay. So that people can be guided and they can go and do their discovery. And then when I have meeting with the Contentful team, I would like you to join the team. in structuring the platform. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can write me one page of what we discussed today, I will send it to them. And then let's get the journey going already.
Okay.
So it's a tube platform. So is it going to be tube dot what dot, we will ask them what's most meaningful and let them sponsor it, Is it tube AI dot AI? I think it's too fancy, right? So it needs to be tube something. But it's a platform. It's a platform that serves this work that we just discussed. Okay. And we will use Contentful. Sounds good. Got a plan?
Yeah.
Thanks for turning up today.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, let me uh